Everybody, JC here with another TNI toy review, and today we're going to take a look at the new Mattel 4-inch DC Comics Multiverse line. And the first figure we're going to take a look at in this line is the Arkham City Armored Batsuit Batman. Now, the other week we took a look at Mattel's new 6-inch Total Heroes line. And so now we're going to look at the figures in the first series for their new 4-inch line. Now, unlike the 6-inch line, this new 4-inch line is being billed as an adult collector line. Even though it's being sold at mass retail, the packaging actually says adult collector and highly detailed and authentic. And I've got to be honest with you, I think this is a little misleading. I think these figures aren't bad, but I would not classify this as a highly detailed adult collector line, and we'll go into a little bit more detail as the review goes along. But anyway, the packaging is very reminiscent of what we saw with the DC Universe Classics. You've got basically yellows and browns used, some reds mixed in for the coloring on the background. Kind of like some comic book type stuff, but really it's hard to make out anything. I think it's stuff from the video game, but it really is not very clear on what's on the actual background of the card back. You do have a picture from the video game of the figure on the left hand side, and then you have the figure clearly displayed on the blister packaging. Up top you have the DC Comics Multiverse logo along with the Batman Arkham Origins video game logo, since this first series of figures is based on the video games. Now they're not all Arkham Origins, or Arkham City, I'm sorry. Not all the figures in the first wave are based on the Arkham City video game. They're based on the various Arkham video games, though. So, like, there's Bane, who's from the Arkham Origins, and so on and so forth. Azrael, which is also Arkham City, and there's Bullseye and Mr. Freeze. And there's also a regular Batman in this wave. Now, I picked these up at my local comic book shop. These are supposed to hit regular retail outlets as well. I've seen some reports of people finding them at Target stores. Now, at the comic book shop, these were going for between $10 and $11. I would suspect that at the mass retail outlets, these will be cheaper. I've heard some people quote prices in the range of $8. But I don't know exactly how much these will be selling for at the regular mass retail. But at my comic shop, all the figures were going for, except for this one, was going for about $10.99, and for some reason this Armored City Batman was $1 more than the others. So on the back of the packaging, we have basically the name. Well, again, another picture from the video game of the character, and then the name of the character, and then some brief stats for the character underneath that. And then on the right side, you have a brief bio about the multiverse figures, and then underneath that, you have a look at some of the other figures in this wave. Now, I picked up all of them, but the regular Batman, which I decided to pass on basically because the figure looked almost exactly like this armored Batman, other than less metallics, and just didn't look quite as good. But for the most part, the sculpt basically looked the same. And then I did not see Mr. Freeze. I don't know if the comic book shop just didn't get him in the assortment, or if he sold out or what, but I've not seen Mr. Freeze. But he is listed on the back of the packaging for the first series. So anyway, let's get this open and take a look at the figure inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. Now, the figure overall, I think, looks pretty good. But just to be clear, there are two Batman figures in this first wave. One is just, I believe it was just Arkham City Batman, and then this one is Arkham City Armored Batsuit Batman. Now, the figure comes with two accessories. I don't think the other Batman came with any accessories, but this one comes, basically, it comes with these little rubber electronic pieces. Comes with two of them, and they fit on the wrist of the figure, so it kind of gives him a, like he's shooting electricity through his gauntlets. The art used on the packaging also shows him, using this electricity. So I guess that was a feature he had in the video game. It's not the greatest accessory in the world, but it looks okay. And these are just kind of soft, transparent plastic that, again, just kind of fit on his wrists. And I guess it really doesn't matter which wrists you put on which one. And so that's basically it for the accessories on this figure. So again, even though this is billed as an adult collector line, it's kind of disappointing the lack of accessories these figures come with. Most of them don't come with any. In fact, other than this Batman figure with these little electronic or electricity things for his wrists, and then the Azrael figure in this first wave seems to have like a sword and blade accessory. But the others, Bane and Deadshot, don't seem to have any accessories. Mr. Freeze, I don't know. I think maybe has some kind of accessory that comes with Mr. Freeze, but again, I didn't pick that one up. But overall, there's not a lot of accessories that are coming with these figures, even though these are kind of billed as adult collector figures. Yes, a Batarang or something like that would have at least been nice to been included. And the figure has a soft rubber type cape. It's not cloth, it's rubber, but it is a flexible, pretty soft material. So that's not too bad. It's not detachable or anything. So this figure stands just over 4 inches tall. He's actually seems to be pretty good scale and seems to fit in with other 4-inch lines. So it does seem to go pretty decently with the Marvel Universe line if you're looking to have a similar scale line of DC comic characters to go with your Marvel Universe. It also seems to be pretty good scale with the DC Collectibles 4-inch line, the Injustice figures. Batman's a little bit taller than Deathstroke here, which is a DC Collectibles figure, but for the most part they're pretty close in scale, and don't look bad using them together and everything, posing them together and everything. Now, where this line tends to lack, again, with Mattel, is in the articulation department. Again, a line that's being billed as an adult collector line, I think needs to have a little bit more articulation than these figures seem to have. This line, to me, seems much more geared towards kids, to be perfectly honest. Price point, articulation, lack of accessories. This really seems more like a kid's line than an adult collector. It's not to say adults can't enjoy this line. It is probably the best 4-inch line that certainly Mattel's done, and I'm pretty close on par with the DC Collectibles one at a lesser price. So, I'm not saying adult collectors can enjoy this, but a line that's billed on the packaging for adult collectors, I think, should have a little bit more to it. Even if that means we have to pay a little bit more, I think, most collectors would be willing to do that if it meant we got more articulation and good accessories and things like that. So anyway, let's go over what articulation this figure does have. Basically, it has a head that can go back and forth. No real up or down movement on the head. It's got standard ball hinge joints. The cape doesn't really hinder any of the arm movement, so that's good. He has a single hinged elbow, and he can bend his elbow pretty decently, but no swivel at the bicep or anything. And then he's got swivel wrists, but no hinges at the wrists or anything, just swivel. He has no torso, midsection torso joint of any kind. He does have swivel at the waist. His legs are that hinged design, which isn't too bad. You can do the splits good. The legs go out nice. For the most part, the legs go forward pretty good. The belt hinders the movement a little bit, moving it forward, but for the most part, he's got pretty good movement forward. And then again, backwards, he's got, you have to do the leg out a little bit, but he's got pretty good out movement. Single hinged knee, but again, has fairly decent, you can bend it pretty decently, even though it's just a single hinged knee. And there's also a swivel at the just above the knee joint, so you've got some additional movement there, which isn't bad. But again, where another place where it really lacks, no articulation in the ankles, no pivot, no up and down, no swivel, no nothing. So that's really kind of disappointing that we have no ankle articulation at all. So again, a line build for adult collectors. I think some kind of hinge joint at the neck so he can look up and down, a torso hinge so he can bend up and down, and some ankle joints, would really be nice. So overall, this line is not terrible. Again, the scale-wise, it goes pretty well with your Marvel Universe and your DC Collectibles 4-inch figures. The detailing, the paint apps aren't, at least on the Batman figure, are not too bad. I haven't looked that closely on the others, but for Batman here, it's not too bad. It's got pretty good detail and paint apps. Mixtures of metallic silvers and blacks and stuff. So I'm not too I'm not too unhappy with that. Where this figure lacks is with the accessories and then the articulation. I think, especially on a small scale figure like this, I think ankle articulation is a must, and a midsection ab crunch type joint of some type, it would be nice, and definitely being able to look up and down. Now with Batman, as far as like being able to look up and down, sometimes, depending on what kind of costume he's wearing, that might be feasible, that he really doesn't have a lot of up and down movement at the neck. But I don't think any of the other figures in this line have up or down movement either. So it's not like it's just Batman. I think this is pretty much the standard articulation points that all these figures have. So that's my review. Check back soon and we'll be reviewing the other figures in this first wave. And I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, I'll catch you later.